Every week, we are in a new location.
But if the content sucks, it sucks anyway. Yeah, dude.
I'm bringing you Celsius. Okay, good.
Okay, here we go.
Oh my.
Welcome, everyone,
Welcome to
to the set, the ever-moving set of Approach the Bench.
week 2.
Episode 2, called...
1-star reviews.
Yes, sir.
Because holy cow, that's what we got on episode 1. So
Yeah.
we decided to up the
Only
stakes.
1 stars.
Well, yeah, we got 2 1-star reviews, which is enough to hurt my pride
Yeah,
deeply.
yeah. And we'll talk more about that later. But first, where are we?
We're
We
in
are
Boston
clearly
College.
in front of Boston College. Gas and Hall's in the background. A beautiful nor'easter day out here
Yes,
in
beautiful.
Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts.
Beautiful is one way to describe the harrowing adventures that we go on to produce this show.
Yeah. Mason refused to wear a rain jacket because he wanted you to see again for the second week in a row that he goes to the
Harvard Law School. My sweatshirt.
This is the brand anyway.
This is the struggle that we go through to show off
There you go.
where we go to school. I
Yeah.
mean, we're at Boston College, his undergrad,
Yeah.
and then we're also wearing Harvard Law School attire to show off our current law school.
Yep.
So we're not pretentious at all.
No, not pretentious at all. Not
Um,
elitist. I come from humble origins, way on the West Coast. But, you know, I'm in these hallowed grounds again. They're much nicer
Amen.
than Harvard. Would you agree?
Not right now.
Not right now, but I mean, the weather's the same in Harvard, so compare
Yeah.
it to that.
It's going to be a little bit difficult to hear us at times because of the rain, and also there's some cars that'll go by. We might get stopped by security, but we're doing this anyway. This is the plan, okay? The plan is we're going to talk a little bit about Boston College because we're here.
The water's just drip,
I'm
dripping from
literally
your
just
nose.
soaked. I am fully soaked. We've been
Oh,
running
dear.
around. Will made me breakfast this morning. It was
Yeah,
very
I did.
nice.
I did.
And then we came out into this dreary weather, and I'm absolutely
He
destroyed.
commented on the quality of my eggs.
I
so,
did.
yeah.
He did make good eggs.
Good eggs with some Marmite on our toast.
Ugh, disgusting. It's like we're in the 1920s.
Yeah, I love
Um,
it. I love it.
But no, so we're going to talk about Boston College. We're going to talk a little bit about our 1-star reviews that we got on Spotify.
Crazy.
What the heck? We asked for feedback, but not negative feedback.
No negative feedback.
we
I
want
think
you
we
to
said
affirm
that.
us. Yeah.
I think we said that.
We want to
Yeah.
be affirmed.
Only
not-
affirmations.
Yeah, we don't want negative feedback.
No.
After that, we're going to talk a little bit about TikTok, why we're not posting on TikTok, and kind of ask you guys what you think we should do about that. Then we're going to discuss nudity in art.
Yeah.
Whether or not statues should be fully unclothed or they should have that little leaf
Right.
in front of the genitalia.
Yeah. Or maybe, you know, the female uppers too.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well,
Yeah.
we won't go too into detail with all
Cover
of that
all
stuff.
that.
But
Cover
we
all that.
will discuss the idea.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to talk about diamonds, whether or not you should go with a synthetic diamond for your engagement ring,
Mm-hmm.
or you should go with a regular, natural, awesome, born of the earth diamond.
Yeah.
I'm not revealing my views on that, but just think about it for a
He
little
might
bit
have
ahead
just
of time.
revealed his views.
And after that, we'll wrap up with, of course,
Girl problems. Girl problems.
naturally.
And the jingle's back. Did you notice that? The jingle's back.
The
Well, the
jingle-
jingle will be
The
back. You might
jingle
not
will be
notice it
back.
yet.
I don't know if I'm going to throw it in here. Maybe I will throw it in early just so that people can get a sense of the jingle.
And that was by popular demand.
That is by popular
overwhelming demand.
We've gotten a lot of feedback
Yeah.
from the first episode.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do the second episode in the rain so that we're going to be much happier.
Yeah.
And I think better, more on the ball in the rain and the
Yeah.
wind. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But okay, so why are we here?
Great. Yeah. So I'll just take the umbrella away for a little bit so you can appreciate the full backdrop of where we are. So this is Boston College in Chestnut Hill, as I already mentioned. Beautiful Gas and Hall behind us. I came here from undergrad, did 3 years here, did ROTC here, studied econ, history, theology. Funny enough, even though I'm Protestant, I took a lot of Catholic theology classes. And yeah, you all right?
I am just so soaked right now in this cold. It is freezing, it's raining, and it's Boston.
Yeah, if you can see, like, take a look at my outfit and guess where I'm from. Look at his and guess where he's from. And guess who grew up in one of the rainiest states in the Union.
And one of the hotter states in the Union being me.
Yeah.
In Alabama.
Yeah. So
Uh,
anyway, I'll keep going. We don't want to get too complaining.
Yeah, not too complaining. What else about BC can you share with us, William?
Yeah, I had a great time here, honestly. I know for some Catholics out there, some hardcore Catholics, the Jesuits have a bit of a bad rap right now. But I had only positive interactions with...
Why'd you come to a Jesuit school? Why'd you come to a Catholic school? You're not Catholic.
No, I'm not Catholic. I'm Protestant. It didn't really factor in. I didn't really care if I went to a secular school or a Christian school. I didn't feel strongly pulled one direction like you did. For me, I mean, I appreciated literally the number one reason that I went to here was because they were going to let me graduate in 3 years.
I see.
And of all the other schools that I got into, you know, the elite institutions, right? I didn't get into that many elite institutions. But of those, you know, BC was unique in the sense that they took a full year of AP credits. And that was really attractive to me. And I'm really glad that I came here. It's a hallowed institution.
Yes.
Since 1863.
I only like this place because I exist, in part because of its rival.
Okay.
That's the only reason I have any appreciation for Boston
Notre
College.
Dame, right?
No. Boston University. That's where my parents met. My parents met there, and therefore I exist today because in some ways there's a rivalry because those two institutions can exist.
Yeah.
Although we can debate whether or not they're even close to being on the same level.
Not really. Yeah.
But BU, wonderful place, love it. Far more than this.
Tilt this back a little bit.
That's for sure.
There we
Sorry,
go.
I'm trying to make sure I get as much of the rain off of me as possible.
Right.
If you've enjoyed this so far, please click like, subscribe, or send in a voice memo to us.
Yeah,
or
please. We're desperate for voice
feedback.
memos.
We need girl problems content. So please add some, and we can discuss your girl problems out in the rain
Out in
at
the
Boston
rain.
College while I am complaining constantly.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is rough.
This is
So
gonna be
let's move on maybe.
Yeah.
Because we'll probably get more 1-star reviews after this
After this episode. I mean,
But
my gosh.
what's up with that, guys? What do you think caused that?
Who's out there one-starring our episode? Here's the thing. On Spotify, you have to go on and listen
It's quite
to part
hard.
of it. You have to
Yeah.
listen to part of it. Then you have to find, it's like hidden. It's
Yeah.
hidden. It's difficult to go in and actually rate. I mean, my mother, who's in her 50s, I love her dearly, but like it's difficult for anybody who's above the age of like 25 to struggle to
Right.
find this. It's
Right.
really hard for older people. So this is what I'm thinking.
I
We're
can't
trying to
even
think,
find it.
who did this? Who gave us 2 1-star reviews back to back?
Yeah.
Back
People
to
who
back.
are trying to sabotage us, you know?
I think that's it.
I don't think they're good actors, you know? Unless they're the people who submitted negative feedback or like criticisms and they just are like so honest in who they are that they had to give us a 1-star review in order to like also give us some criticism, some constructive feedback. I don't think it's those people,
1-star
though.
reviews aren't constructive.
No.
No, you could submit, if instead of the 1-star review, consider this. You send in an email to approachthebench@gmail.com.
Yeah,
And
with
you
2
tell us-
H's.
Yes, with 2 H's. And you
Yeah.
tell us how bad we are.
Yeah,
That
you
would
could do
make more sense.
You could do that. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
We got some wisdom, some sage wisdom from a professor here
Yes.
about what negative feedback truly means. And just so that we really feel confident in ourselves, we're going to elevate this to a spiritual dimension for you guys. So why don't you do that, Mason?
Yeah, so anything worth doing is worth resisting.
That's right.
So that means that your 1-star reviews are simply confirming that we're meant to keep doing this.
That's right.
So keep giving them to us. Try as hard as you can to stop us, and we will fight on.
We're clearly not going to stop. I mean, this is about as miserable of a day as we could have. You know, we'll see when January rolls around and we're out in the snow. Oh!
Stay, umbrella. I've got to save it.
Yeah, we got to cut.
Okay, we're good.
We're cutting?
No. We're just keeping it, making sure that it stays put.
The umbrella did that like Mary Poppins thing where it started to fly away. And anyway, that's a great movie. We don't have to talk about
Mary
that
Poppins is a fantastic film because in one way or another, it reminds me that my babysitter had superpowers.
My baby power had superhuman attraction. I can definitely say that. They were all cute. You know, I had a big crush on all my babysitters. And I think I had a crush on Mary Poppins too. There's something about that like older female dynamic that really is attractive to a young boy.
Bro, I was talking about the fact that babysitters are just really freaking cool. Now you're out here saying that they have a magnetism that makes you fall in love, which is actually kind of true.
I fell in love with at least one of my babysitters. She was a ballet dancer. And man, I love ballet to this day, probably for that reason.
I do have some core memories. This is true. You're right.
Some core
You're
memories.
very influenced by babysitters, by Mary Poppins-esque figures in your life.
I was talking to a guy, and we don't have to talk about this too long, but I was talking to a guy on campus the other day, and he brought up a point that I hadn't really considered, but that babysitters should be female. You know, he wasn't going to give his child over to a guy our age, but he would give it over to a woman that age.
No, this is a big thing right now.
Do you think that's because he's afraid that they're going to fall in love with a man?
No.
No.
That is in no way.
Okay.
That is in no way the reasoning. The reasoning is because guys are statistically the least trustworthy babysitters.
That is true.
That's the reason.
Okay.
And that's completely justified.
Yeah.
I would probably only hire a female babysitter for my kids.
Yeah.
Very reasonable. I actually know several women who are some of the best babysitters on the planet, in my
Right.
view.
I mean, I think I could be a phenomenal babysitter. I love kids.
I think you would be a good babysitter, but you're the exception to the rule.
Okay.
That's why we're doing the podcast.
Right. Because we're oddities.
We're oddities. We're
We're
exceptions
good
to the rule.
babysitters. I don't know about Mason.
I
He
would
can't
not be a
make
good
eggs and toast. I wouldn't trust him with your
I could
kids.
heat up some wicked chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Some dino nuggets.
Hey, listen, the kids, I think kids would have a great time with me as a babysitter. Frankly,
Yeah.
I would educate them on soteriology.
Yeah, I guess you probably would.
We would
also,
learn so
just
much.
A final reminder here. I think you need to tilt your umbrella back so they can see your face.
I really don't care. Because it is so bad. It is so bad out here. I know the people who are actually listening to this podcast are going to be like, what is going on in the background? This is the reason why you've got to watch. You got to watch. You're going to see the
At least
Instagram
part
reels.
of it. Yeah.
And you get a better sense of what we're going through for you. And this is only going to get worse, by the way. This is probably one of the best days Boston has to offer from here on out, by the way.
For a couple months, it might be pretty rough.
This place, Boston, don't get me wrong, wonderful city at certain times.
Duh.
And then otherwise, a little bit miserable.
Yeah.
Hey, but 1-star reviewers, what do we have to say to them?
Keep it coming. You know, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going.
Not actually, though. Please leave us 5-star reviews.
All right. Anyway, we also got some feedback that was from your brother.
Yes.
And he said, you know, I really think you guys should post on TikTok. He clearly, you know, I don't trust him morally after that kind of statement. I don't know if I did anyway, but shout out Mason's brother.
My brother's awesome. Shout out Jacob Laney. Great dude.
Yeah, shout out Jacob Laney, but you got to check your China influence, dude. You've clearly been on TikTok too much because
In more ways than one, Jacob.
you are bought and captured. What's the other way?
He's dating a Chinese girl.
Oh, that makes
Sorry.
so much sense. What's going on here?
I love you too. I love you too, Emily. That was just a joke.
Anyway, all right. So how do you feel about TikTok?
I love social media. Clearly, we're posting on social media. I also think that social media is the reason why society is falling apart.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's a do it and you die, don't do it and you die anyway too, you know?
Right. I was having this conversation about, you know, we talked about dating apps last time.
Yeah.
And this came up over the weekend. I was in Dallas with a guy, and he's actually doing a startup for a dating app, and it's a good idea, honestly. He's trying to fix a lot of the dating app problems through this startup. And my argument with him was more like, I just want to throw the whole system out. But
Totally.
He was basically making your argument on why we're posting on social media, which is this is where culture already is. There's no turning back the clock. We just need to like make it better.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing in this podcast.
Yeah, you got to meet people where they're at. And so this is actually the reason why we're not posting on TikTok. We made this decision. We went to the bar after episode 1 came out.
Yeah.
We grabbed drinks. I got a hard cider. You got a Guinness.
Yeah. That's
and
so indicative of who we are as people.
True.
Yeah.
And as we were drinking it, and I was trying to look cool and finish my drink, as
Took
we were
him a
doing
while.
that, it did take me a while. You finished like so quickly.
Yeah, I was ready for number 2.
But as we were doing this, we made the decision because we realized that we're going to limit our reach by not going on TikTok.
Yeah.
But our thought process is that TikTok is controlled by foreign entities in one way or another. Now, I realize that people say, well, it's not, it's still owned by an American company that then has operations that are somewhat in China, but then its actual headquarters are outside of China. But who cares?
Yeah.
The 2017 national security law passed in China requires it to, in some way, form, or fashion, give our data over to the Chinese government, or let them manipulate it, or let them use the algorithm. I don't care. It's sketchy enough that I get worried about it. Other people say, hey, but American companies are also using our data. That's why social media is free. And my response to it is, God bless America. I love America. I don't have the same sympathies towards the Chinese Communist Party. Sorry.
Certainly
It's
not.
the truth.
And it's not like our government does nothing wrong with our data. I mean, there's countless.
Of course.
I'm in a national security law class right now, and there have been a lot of abuses of like metadata by the U.S. government in the wake of 9/11, even before spying on Martin Luther King without any
Absolutely.
justification.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending every use of American governments when it comes to
No,
data.
yeah.
But what I am saying, though, is that I have a fundamentally different view of America than I do of the Chinese government.
Yeah. Until, you know, this divestment strategy from the Trump administration goes through, we're not going to be on it.
Yes, that's our new stance. There's a possible deal pending in which TikTok will divest its ownership of at least TikTok in America. over to several American companies, and they'll also lease out the algorithm. And so if that happens, we will go on TikTok.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about nudity and art.
Yeah.
Out here in the rain.
Honestly, what I'm thinking right now is it might be better to shoot this whole thing nude because I'm soaked. I mean, Gore-Tex jackets, for all their hype, they're pretty crappy. I have this big thing against like 1.5 layer Gore-Tex. I was talking with someone about this last week. Like,
William,
the only thing that works is 2-layer to 3-layer Gore-Tex.
Can we just pause and take a moment and realize what you just said?
Yeah. I would rather be nude. I think I'd be warmer nude right now than covered in soaking wet clothes. And if that's not an argument for why nudity should be allowed in art, I don't know what is, honestly. So
God
next
help us.
podcast, look forward to that. We'll be totally nude, probably.
No,
Snowing
that's
or rain.
terrible. This is a dumb argument. Okay, so here's the thing. The reason why we talked about this is because Will is very laissez-faire when it comes to art.
I'm very laissez-faire when it comes to anything, baby.
Okay. That is not,
Freedom. Have freedom.
that is
All
not fully
things
true.
are permitted. I forget the last half of that verse.
Okay. There's also another verse, Matthew 5:28, where Jesus talks about lust.
Sure.
And lust is a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think that we are called to a level of prudence in our artistic displays. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I am definitely a romantic at heart, and I love art. I think it's beautiful. But I also think that we're inclined sometimes towards exposing ourselves in ways that are not wise. They're not wise. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that some of the displays, you go into the Louvre, you go see some statues,
The
some
MFA,
paintings,
the Museum of Fine
MFA,
Arts,
you see it
Boston.
everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And it's just, there's a lot of nudity.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily find the Renaissance version of that nudity to be very like attractive per se, or even really that beautiful.
Because they're depicting, this is quite a problem, honestly. I mean, the reason we look at nude statues and we go, they're not that attractive, is because we have this crazy, inflated view of the human body that is honestly probably coming from like pornographic displays of it, where we see what we think a body should look like, and then we look back at like, Greek or Roman or Renaissance art, and it's like their curves aren't all there. The men aren't that muscular. Like, I could go on and be more explicit, but I won't. But it's like a real depiction of a human body, and that is what the artists were trying to do. They were saying to themselves, like, look back at the Garden of Eden before there was sin. Adam and Eve were naked, and there was no shame, and there was no lust. There was none of that. And when we're trying to depict art as a Renaissance painter, they're trying to kind of give us a glimpse of that like purity and beauty that exists in the human body. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and they're trying to show us that through full depictions of like real human bodies,
And I agree.
without lust.
I agree to the extent that I think that art's design, art's purpose, it's to help us love God better.
Yeah.
Art is meant to help us love God.
Mhm.
When you look at a painting, you feel uplifted.
Yeah.
When you watch a good movie and you walk away in tears, when you feel yourself moved in one way or another, it's because you're hearing truth. You're feeling something inside you that you're not able to express. You're seeing it expressed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is beautiful. That's good art.
Mhm.
And I think you can do that through nudity at times.
Yeah.
But it's very rare in our culture because of
Sure.
how we engage with nudity. And maybe it's because there's an aspect of modern art that is uniquely transgressive against the gospel,
Yeah.
against truth. I think the
Yeah.
point of some of that
it's like
artwork,
liberation.
yes, it's trying to say if we break the rules, if we
Yeah.
break God's rules in artwork, if we make it pornographic, that we can somehow actually change our world. It's a Marxist view, it's a deconstructionist view, and the reality is that's not true. It's trying to
Yeah.
rebel against God. It's trying to do what Lucifer did in Paradise Lost, which is to rebel against the Creator. You can't do that and
No.
be successful. Here's one example. I think we should dig
Okay.
into this a little
All right.
bit
Okay.
and say specifics. Have you seen Oppenheimer?
I have. Yeah.
So Oppenheimer has some very famous kind of over-the-top scenes, one might say.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm going to defend one of those scenes,
Okay.
and I'm not going to defend it in full.
Is this where he's
Um,
quoting
This
poetry?
is exactly. This
Jeez.
is where he quotes the Bhagavad Gita, I believe is the way you say it. I might have mispronounced it, I'm sorry. But basically he learns the famous quote, "I have become death, the destroyer of worlds." Oppenheimer, who created the atom bomb, this is what the movie's about. This is a Christopher Nolan film. It's fantastic. Highly recommend seeing it if you haven't. There's a scene where he's having premarital relations with a woman.
Yeah.
And in that moment, she has him read the Bhagavad Gita and has him read that line. And that's where he learns it, that he eventually, when he creates the atom bomb, he also recites that line famously like later on in his
Yeah.
life. But he also learns it when he's destroying the family. That's what happens through those premarital relations. That's what's happening through him, like cleaving to this woman who is one, not his wife, but also crazy too.
Yeah. Disturbed.
And that's a beautiful depiction of it. Now, I think, does it have to be so gratuitous? Because it was gratuitous at the same time? Maybe not. And maybe there's a balance there.
There definitely could be a balance. I mean, I think you're making the argument that sometimes nudity can be used in powerfully truthful ways. And in this case, it's being used in a way that is like negatively truthful. Like it's saying, it's not pointing you to beauty, it's pointing you to the opposite of beauty in a powerfully artistic way.
Yes.
Maybe the last point on this is like when I go to museums, I find myself drawn not to boobs, not to any other parts, right? The other male genitalia, as you told me to say, not.
Yeah, we're trying to use more scientific language rather than crass language.
Yeah, I was already corrected on that. I honestly am looking at the face, and I think that's something that like we could depict the human face and maybe capture some of the like beauty and human likeness of God and all these like fundamental truths in like just doing really good faces. So maybe we could just
Which makes you feel bad for people with prosopagnosia, which is a condition where you cannot see faces. You can't remember faces.
And it also makes you feel bad for like half the population at Harvard Law School where they don't have emotional intelligence.
That is true.
And they can't see, they probably can't connect with it at all.
All of our friends catching strays right now.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think many people at Harvard just have a different form of intelligence.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Which we love.
I do not have that form of intelligence.
Yeah, when it comes to being able to relate to people, we're not always the best.
Yep.
But we can get better. Okay, but here's the thing. Relating to people, this is a great transition.
Yeah.
Okay, we have jumped around this episode. I'm sorry, it's been a little bit schizophrenic. It's because of the fact that we are drenched and cold and windy, and it's going to get worse every
one of
episode.
us is less mentally tough than the other person.
Oh, yes, totally. Yeah. I am very mentally feeble.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the youngest in my family.
And I am an American soldier.
I'm the youngest in my family. I was always cared for in a way that allowed me to flourish in the right environments.
Yeah. And some might call this coddling.
No, it's not coddling.
Oh, it's not coddling.
It's not coddling.
No.
I absolutely loved the way I was raised.
The way that you're gripping that umbrella and twisting it, I feel that you've been coddled a little bit. Just saying.
Man, I feel very judged right now. I think most of this episode is literally just going to be you saying things and me just being cold.
Yeah.
So,
which usually isn't the dynamic.
That isn't.
Usually I say the dumb stuff and you have this good stuff to say.
Yeah, this episode I am being frozen by the wind and the rain, but we thoroughly enjoy it. Well, here's the thing. So this is the next topic. I have strong thoughts on this topic, and I really think that we can get into it.
Yeah.
Diamonds. Diamonds for engagement rings. Okay.
Do you I need to go pee. Do you want to take a break? We're back,
and we're actually wait one second, we're back.
Well, why not? Can we just be honest? We went inside to warm up for a second and take a pee break because
holy cow,
it's brutal.
And you'll notice me shaking because I'm slowly developing hypothermia as we're shooting. But it's so wonderful to be out here because we're going to talk about a topic that I've been chomping at the bit for.
Literally, and I was like, dude, not for the first episode. He got it in on the second.
So the first episode was literally going to be called "A Diamond Is Forever" because I have such a strong opinion. I thought you were going to call it
"Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend."
Also that too, because I love diamonds. Okay, and people have such strong opinions on this crap, but my view is straightforward. A diamond symbolically is awesome. It provides us with an opportunity to show to another person. I'm talking about diamonds and engagement rings specifically. It provides us with the opportunity to show somebody else that we care about them deeply and are willing to put a portion of our salary, of our income, into that thing. And this thing has been born out of the womb of the earth after 1 to 3 billion years of cooking, and they get shot out.
Wait a second. I thought the earth was 6,000 years old. What's going on here? Are you revealing yourself as an anti-creationist?
I'm not an
anti-6 day?
I am not an anti-creationist. I believe God made the heavens and the earth. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But these diamonds are 1 to 3 billion years old. So you're going to have to reconcile with that question. That's the only other thing.
Oh, dear.
Okay, but so the big question here is whether or not you should get a girl a diamond. I think we should.
Yeah. I mean, I think before we go into this, you should kind of out your argument a little bit and give us some backstory on diamonds, unless you want me to.
No, I can do it.
I mean, the whole thing with De Beers and the control of diamond supply and the monopolization of the industry and the brilliant, almost, most successful marketing campaign, one could say, of all time to make you think this way. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so he's giving the counter argument already. Okay, so I should give a better intro. I'm sorry. I jumped right into the juicy part of my argument because I just love diamonds so much. But basically the background here is that diamonds are very common in the earth. Excuse me, one sec. So basically diamonds are not as short of supply as you might think. No. Basically, originally back in the 1700s and 1800s, we just hadn't found many of the deposits. And then in the 1800s, they started finding a bunch of them. They found 1700s, they found some in Brazil, then they found more in South Africa. And Cecil Rhodes, very famously, after discovering all this stuff and realizing that there were more diamonds than we had originally thought, bought up a bunch of those deposits and then constrained the supply and started selling diamonds as like this very, very rare, exquisite, high-end good. And throughout the 1900s, they started getting marketed as, under the Diamond is Forever campaign, as the way to show that you're married to somebody else. Yes, to show that you really love.
You kind of brushed over the biggest problem I have with this was that he constrained supply.
Yes.
That De Beers constrained supply in order to make it seem more rare than it actually was. And this is my problem with a lot of luxury goods. This is why I will never buy a Rolex, even though I'm a huge watch guy, because Rolex does this exact same thing. And it is common in the watch industry generally, but there are some really good brands that make high quality timepieces that don't artificially limit their supply in order to keep you wanting and feeling like this is something you get. And just really quick before we go on, Rolex did this during COVID. It was very recently. They would COVID, demand was dropping, prices were falling, and Rolex, what did they do? What do you think they did?
They bought back cheap Rolexes and melted them down. That's what they did.
They literally destroyed or held in reserve timepieces from retail stores in order to artificially create a supply.
Yes, they did this. That's a luxury good. And okay, listen.
I don't like that.
But people still buy them because they have social symbolic value. And this is my argument. There is a story behind diamonds in terms of how they're created that's great for engagement. It's a way of saying this thing has been in the womb of the earth for billions of years, forming up in an incredible environment under immense pressure. And then it's shot out. And you use this thing to show to the other side that we would survive the same pressures, that this is how much my love for you means. I'm willing to give up a portion of my salary. I'm willing to think about all these questions about how to set it right, what you're thinking about with like the ring design, so many other questions. You're gonna go through all of this onslaught to be able to use this specific type of rare earth to be able to show to you that this is how I care about you. Yes, I care about you so deeply. It's playing a role. It's a tool. It's a tool.
You recognize that you believe that about diamonds because of De Beers' successful marketing campaign, right?
Because it's a great story. It's a great marketing campaign.
Another analogy I like to make to this is how iPhone has captured the American imagination. Like in one of our pilots, you talk about the iPhone being like an American good versus the Google Pixel or Android or another or a Samsung. Sorry, like it's all just marketing, and that doesn't none of your arguments are true in themselves. It's only because of the marketing campaign, wouldn't you say?
But my point, though, is to say that the ring you wear on your finger, part of the value of the ring is to tell a story to the other person. It's to express affection. Nowadays, 50% of engagement rings have synthetic diamonds.
Yeah.
Okay, synthetic diamonds are diamonds that are just lab grown, and they're lab grown, quote unquote, because they are created under the exact same conditions that a diamond is created in the mantle. It's just in a lab instead of in the mantle of the earth.
Right.
And the reason I don't like that is because I like the natural quality of growing in the mantle of the earth for billions of years for the story.
Yeah,
okay?
and I mean, you also like modern day slavery.
But no, I don't.
That doesn't mean it's bad.
I don't like modern
well,
day
you
slavery.
Like diamonds, and a lot of that industry
that's another ethical question.
Crazy.
There are ways to get them certified to make sure you're not getting a blood diamond.
And there are loopholes around all of those things.
And there might be. And I think that is something that if you are really worried about it, I completely respect people not wanting to go with that because it's kind of weird. That's the reason why if you have jewelry that's been used before, you might not want it because who knows who's owned it before, who's worn it. There's a lot of questions like that. It's all part of the symbolism.
Like voodoo.
Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
My old counselor used to say this. My counselor, when I was in 6th grade, because I was sent a little bit of counseling. No, she wore a ring on her finger that she told me during a counseling session one time was given to her mother by a World War II soldier who'd picked it off of the dead body of a German woman and given it to her. And this counselor wore it on her finger.
Yeah.
While she was counseling me. And I remember being like, you want to switch
That
chairs?
explains so much why you are the way you are. If you got counseling from a lady who was wearing a dead person's ring, I mean, what happened to that lady in World War II? Probably some crazy.
It was probably bad. I know. That's what I'm saying.
stuff.
It's a little. So I'm saying that the
Wow.
story is what matters, and I like the story of the natural diamond. And also, here's another aspect.
Okay,
Let me pitch another aspect.
Fine.
The synthetic diamond influx has also caused an increase in the carat size of the engagement ring, because now you can show off on Instagram to your girlfriends, hey, look how big this carat is. It's gone from 2015 0.9 carats per average diamond in engagement rings to 1.8. That's double. 1.8 carats. And it's putting immense pressure on people to have bigger diamonds and all these other things. And my point is to say that's why the natural diamond's so great, because the natural diamond is actually difficult to come by because of artificial reasons. But at the same time, it's awesome. It's such a beautiful story. I'm sorry, maybe I'm repeating myself.
You know, if you're watching this and thinking to yourself, wow, I really like Will, which you more likely than you're thinking you really like Mason, you're probably thinking that.
That's probably
I would
true.
just say prepare yourself, because you would not be getting a diamond from me. I am a big
He gives ring pops.
I like to give, rubies,
Emeralds. Lapis lazuli is acceptable.
topaz. Like, I think there's so many
Topaz is expensive, bro.
I know. There's like expensive alternatives that are cool and unique and more maybe like more special to your relationship than a diamond would be.
Good luck convincing a girl of this, by the way.
I know. Well,
Just saying.
I have that problem with a lot of my takes, honestly. It's like I have to compromise.
I think I do too.
And I never do, and that's why I'm single. So, anyway, I will say, like, the whole voodoo, like, putting a dead person's ring on, like, the one diamond that I would support fully would be, like, an antique diamond or an heirloom diamond. Like, I was telling you the example of my friend who gave his fiance, like, a diamond that had been passed down through generations. And in this case, it was many generations. I think that's cool, and that's like a way to tie in kind of your family history into your marriage, and that's beautiful. But again, that's not like that diamond isn't the same as a diamond that you buy from Kay's jeweler or something, where it's like either lab grown or De Beers artificially controlled supply diamond, or maybe a blood diamond. You don't really know. Like, that's not special to me. I need a story behind the engagement ring, rather than just this is a diamond. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't get me wrong. I am saying it's about the story. So I guess I'm kind of talking around my own point too, which is that, like, I do think it's the symbolism. So I don't blame people if they go with a different form of rare earth mineral or something like that. I'm just saying that I think that there is a history to the diamond. I think it's got a great story as is. And I really like the idea of participating in that tradition. I like the idea of participating in that tradition.
Sure, the
not that I have
tradition
any
of
chance.
slavery, basically. Right?
No, it's not a tradition of
the
slavery.
tradition of colonialism.
It's not the tradition of colonialism.
Man, I think it is.
Okay, so here's the thing. All of this other stuff with the diamonds, we can debate and discuss. But at the end of the day, I think that marriage is a beautiful thing, and that the symbolism of us caring a lot about somebody in a gift that is a diamond ring is beautiful.
And at the end of the day, I make strong claims, and I even, told the women who are watching this that they wouldn't get a diamond from me. But at this point, I'm so desperate that I'll get whatever she wants.
We are desperate.
We're desperate for attention.
That is true.
And that's why he likes diamonds.
Amen. Desperate for attention. That's why we do diamonds. I feel like that's a pretty good
What
summation
size
of
would you
things.
get then? So if you're...
Oh, this is a good question. I would get the biggest one that my salary allows. Actually, this is a good...
Really? Oh my gosh, you're so bought in. This is crazy.
What? It's true.
Yeah.
I've looked at, okay, listen.
Social pressure.
Sometimes I
You're
love
bowing to
joking.
social
One of my
pressure.
favorite jokes when I see people get like girls that I know get
small
engaged,
ring.
and I'll be like, yeah, I would have gotten her a bigger diamond.
Yeah.
It's incredibly pretentious. It's a joke. It's a joke. That is a joke. Obviously, I actually think that one of the biggest problems I will concede to you with the diamond is that it makes it harder for young men to be able to get engaged and all these other things, because it increases the cost. The wedding prices are going up. The engagement ring prices are going up. Everything is more expensive. It makes it harder, and we don't want marriages to become more expensive to
I
do.
hate weddings.
What?
I think
You hate weddings?
We could do this exact
Wait, you might as
same-
well just say you hate chocolate or puppies or smiles on
we could
people's
play
faces.
this whole argument back about diamonds and just say this is why wedding culture is a scam too.
Wedding
Spending
culture?
tens of thousands of dollars
Oh
on
my
a single
gosh.
day.
Man,
I hate that.
okay, these are two separate things. Making wedding culture more expensive versus wedding culture itself.
Making diamond rings more expensive through artificially limiting their supply.
But they should be somewhat expensive though, because that's part of how you show you care. They shouldn't be so
wouldn't
expensive.
the same argument extend to weddings?
Well, My point is they shouldn't be so expensive that it completely gatekeeps a whole portion of the population. That's my worry. I think that the 1.8 carat average engagement ring size is making things difficult for people.
Sure.
That makes me worried. At the same time, though, and maybe
You're
this is ultimately just
You're
an
going to
argument.
say, I buy the biggest ring I can afford.
Ultimately, this is an argument that I really wish we could achieve an economy where the average American was able to purchase, had more purchasing power, which we do have a lot of purchasing power as is.
Yes.
But I feel like maybe it's just the inflation of our time or things like that.
And I mean, if a diamond is so important for its symbolic reasoning, we have allowed more people to get into that through lab-grown diamonds. Like people who previously could afford tiny diamonds can now compete in this economy where you it's all about the size, and you don't want people like Mason telling you
They're all fake,
I would have got her a better ring.
They're all fake,
like when he sees that Instagram post, he doesn't know if it's lab grown or not.
That is
he
true.
just sees the size.
Although if you have
So
a
we
bigger
have a lot
carat,
of
if you have a
Americans.
bigger carat size, I kind of am like, probably synthetic.
Well, when you buy a girl a real ring and it's 2.5 carats or whatever crazy amount you're going to spend on this ring, I'm going to look at it and say, I could have got her a bigger ring.
Well, the thing is, I'm actually saying all of this so that when I buy her a synthetic ring, a synthetic diamond,
She thinks
everybody
it's real.
thinks it's real.
That's
And I'm just
beautiful.
going to go for the rest of my life and take that secret to my grave.
You kind of, well, oh boy, that's a good question. Do you tell a girl you're getting her a synthetic ring or not?
Oh, do you tell her? I mean, absolutely.
But no one
again,
else.
it's the story.
Right.
I think it's the story. Like, I think if you really love someone, keeping a secret like that from them is terrible.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, if you found out that your diamond ring was actually like, it was certified ethical, and then later it comes out and you're more on, the internet than she is, obviously, because it's you. But you find this out. You're like, oh crap, this certification process has just been blown right open.
Uh-oh.
Then do you tell her she's wearing a blood diamond?
yeah, I mean, this is like a hypothetical I used to give to people. We called it the Alabama question. If you found out after 5 years of marriage that your spouse was your biological sister, do you tell her? This is the exact same kind of situation. And I think the answer is you tell her, you get divorced, and you move to the other side of the country.
Okay.
So I'm saying I think you should be honest with your spouse. That's what I'm defending. I'm defending honesty with a spouse.
See, I don't think I'd tell her in either of those situations.
You wouldn't tell her you're
I
his
think if
sister?
I found out she's my sister, and if I found out her diamond's a blood diamond, I would take that with me to the grave.
Oh my god.
There's something manly about that,
No, there was nothing manly about that. That's lying, bro.
Yeah, but it kind of gives you a burden to
Ugh.
carry.
No, I
part
would
of
not want to
manhood.
live with that. That's one I wouldn't want to live with. That's one I think the girl would want to know about, frankly.
Like biological sister?
Yeah, biological.
How would
your
you not
biological
know
siblings.
that?
You got separated at birth or something, bro, and then you got a DNA test before you were gonna have kids.
Okay.
Just to check everything else out,
Okay.
and the doctor comes in and sits down and tells you, "Hey, just so you know, you're actually siblings."
Yeah, I hope
an intense
to never
situation
have
to
to
be in.
cross that bridge.
Yeah, let's hope not. That'd
Yeah.
be terrible. So
All
yeah,
right.
I think we had a great discussion about diamonds, though.
I think so. I'm sure everyone's going to agree with Mason again.
Yes, as
But
always.
you're all wrong. And
Actually, no.
I'll
I
stand
think
that.
I think I'm probably going to be the least favorite here because I think our generation is moving towards synthetic diamonds. I think our generation is moving away from blood diamonds, and it's
I
changing.
hope to other stones. Like that's my takeaway in all of this is there are cool rocks out there that arguably are more unique, more rare, more precious than a diamond that you could explore, and they would be those things without having all the ethical and economic concerns that I have with diamonds.
but they wouldn't be nearly as cool. Alrighty then. So now we're gonna get into
Final segment.
girl problems.
Girl problems. Girl problems.
The fan favorite segment.
Was it?
I think so because we only
Yeah,
clip
you
reels.
think so, but was it?
Was it
Fan
actually?
favorite?
Probably not in reality.
Yeah, I
but we
think-
enjoy it the most.
Right.
Um,
He does.
I love it. Well, our episode, this episode, we're going to be talking about a question that's a little bit more theologically spicy.
Yeah.
Okay, and by that I mean, how close theologically do you have to be with a significant other to date her? That's
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason we ask this is because we get questions all the time from like Protestants. Should I date a Catholic? Catholics, should I date a Protestant? Or, dare I say it, should you date a non-believer even? But I think we
Right.
both would draw the line there. We wouldn't date
Yeah, I
non-believers.
think so. Though I'm not maybe as anti-missionary dating as you are.
You would flirt to convert?
I don't know if I would flirt to convert, but I might not date to convert. I'd like
I
see if
see.
I can get her to come to church with me. See if I can, try to just go on a date, feel it out, see if she's open, And I'm going to lose a lot of friends by saying this, but I
No,
think
you're not going to lose friends over this.
I might lose some of the more hardline Protestant folks here, but
Well,
they're
listen.
certainly going to think I'm wrong. And honestly, I don't know that I'd actually do, I would not take it very far if I didn't think she was really open to it.
Listen, I think that flirt to convert is a skill issue.
I used to be such a prude on this. I'll just say.
Flirt to convert
is a skill.
It's a skill issue. And I think that you've got the skill. So maybe you've got a chance.
Thank you.
No, I'm just joking. Don't flirt to convert. Don't missionary date. That's absolutely ludicrous and insane. Don't do it.
But we're called to bring as many people into the kingdom
Yes,
as possible.
but not by sitting down with them and being like, "Hey, toots, how you doing, baby?"
Yeah, I just think
that's crazy. Don't do
unequally
that.
yoking is an issue when it comes to being married. And so I'm just saying, I don't even know if I believe this. I'm just throwing it out there, for the viewers. When I went to this school, I would never consider. Remember where we are. I would never consider dating a Catholic. Now I do. And I would never consider dating a non-Christian. And I'm not even sure I'm there right now, but I'm just saying that I'm less convinced that, in every case it's wrong as I once was.
Listen, I'm suffering from early onset hypothermia right now, and you still can't convince me
Come on.
to date too far across the aisle here.
You're right.
Because listen, even dating a Catholic, don't get me wrong, I love Catholics, and I have been interested in Catholic
you
women.
You have told me that you would.
I would consider it, and I might even convert for her. But I realize this. I think you have to convert. I think you have to. It's
One
very
of you
difficult.
has to give
Yeah,
in.
it's very difficult to raise in those two traditions. And I think even when you're generally speaking within the Protestant tradition too, you want to go to the same church.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to raise my kids in the same church. And so if
Yeah.
you're going to do it, you have to be willing to actually move within the spectrum of theology.
So here's what I would say maybe. Catholic, Protestant, let's talk that for a second here.
Okay.
I have a friend who's married to a Catholic. They're going to raise their kids Protestant. She's on board with that.
Oof.
Yeah. And
Big win for us.
Honestly, big win. Huge win. And I hope they have a lot of babies, and I hope they all turn out good old Calvinists. But
I hope not.
right. Yeah, we're not 5-pointers over here. What are we talking about? We're like 2.5. I will say that I think when I think about dating a Catholic, I go with, I have no problem going to Mass, honestly.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
I would go
with
to
that
Mass
either.
with her. I would maybe split time, try to split time. I think that's not an ideal situation, but I think it's a workable situation. I think the biggest question for me is always around kids. And what I've said to myself, and I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on this, is it possible for her to kind of say, this is what I believe, and then for me to say, well, this is what I believe, and then let the kids kind of decide for themselves, or is that too confusing for a child?
I think it's very confusing. I also think that kids need firm guidance.
They do, but you're giving them firm guidance in the core tenets of the faith. They're just kind of deciding for themselves which practice over time they believe connects them most with the Lord.
Mom's eating Jesus and dad isn't. There is a big difference between those two things. And don't get me wrong, I don't have super strong opinions on that in the first place. I'm very Anglican in some of my views on this. And Anglicans are kind of just hey, everybody's right.
I love that.
But at the same time, my goodness, it makes it hard for a kid. I think a kid needs firm direction, but they also, especially early on, they need firmer direction, and then you can slowly open them up to more of these arguments. It just might be confusing them when they're younger. And so
there are a lot of
that.
Catholic kids who become Protestant later in life, and they become convinced I actually don't feel like what I get in the Catholic Church is the best depiction or the most clear version of the gospel. And they can become convinced of that when they're old enough to make that decision. So is having some disagreement with a young child really detrimental to their life? Because I know so many Protestants who were raised by two Protestant parents who now have left the church, who don't believe in Jesus anymore.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And then also, like I just said, there's a lot of confirmed Catholics who, when they're older, decide to walk away from that church and either not be a Christian at all or become a Protestant.
Yeah, I think, here's my overarching point is that I just think it's ill-advised to pursue this. And that if you're going to fall in love with a woman who is that distant from you, who is of the Catholic tradition, you're Protestant, or you're a Protestant, and there's they're kind of on the other side of the Puritan, pietist breakdown of Protestantism, that you should do your best to reconcile those differences for your kids. And if you can't, you're going to have very clear boundaries on how you're going to do this, very clear instructions on how it's going to be done. And at the same time, I don't think I don't think it would be enough for me to not fall in love with a woman. I think I would probably cross almost any boundary if I was really in love with a girl,
Right.
which is maybe not good. But the problem is, I just think love is such a beautiful thing. And so because of that, I think I'd be willing
Love
to risk.
conquers all.
Yeah, I mean, imagine how, you realize how romantic it is to be like, I'll risk hell for you. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I will risk being wrong. I'm not saying you have to, that you're risking hell by going from Protestantism to Catholicism. I'm just saying that, like, moving theology is kind of
Sexy. Yeah. I
should not be
amen to
saying
that,
this.
brother.
We should. This is like the most devilish take of all time.
It is.
It's literally exactly what you'd hear in the Screw Tape Letters. You know,
But-
it's kind of cool to move theology.
Yeah.
That's probably
I
a
mean,
bad thing.
you know, that's
actually,
that's
then.
my
So
like
don't listen to this.
Anglican tilt coming out that
It
you
is.
know always lead to Jesus, as long as they're all Christian ways. You know, I think there's just some that are more clear than others.
All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the
At what
second
age
question.
would you let your child date, or even personally,
would you date?
What age would you date?
What age is the earliest that you should be dating?
Yeah.
That's actually the question. And my view on this is different from his. Yet again, I think, what was your response?
12.
Yeah. We're selecting out their,
No,
their,
I mean,
their
look,
future.
if I have
Why
a
don't we pair 'em up
12-year-old
as
daughter-
babies, honestly.
if
You
I
know,
have
if they're
a-
hanging out with each other, toddlers, wow, they're dating.
I did
That's so
just see a
awesome.
really disturbing image of like a couple, and he was 29 and she was 20, and they had a child who was 4, and that makes me wonder a lot. You know, what happened there? And I don't want that to happen to any of my kids. So.
Yes, but my point with this is that you should have a prudence about your maturity and
Yeah.
about what you're getting yourself into. And I think it's very difficult to do that when you're of a certain age. Okay? And so
Yeah.
my point here, and as you'll see, I think that you should date later on in life. Will I say you shouldn't date in high school categorically? No, because there's some great high school sweetheart stories out there that I think are beautiful.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I also know myself in high school. I was a moron.
yeah, me too.
I was a moron. I wasn't dating in high school. I had
I
a
did date in
strong
high school.
policy against dating in high school.
I dated in high school, but I think my parents' position was like you need to wait until you're like a junior. I think was their advice.
Basically the same for me.
So what was I like 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think that the concern for me is with like the social pressure. Like if you as a child or as your kid feels the need to date because everyone else is doing it, I think that's where I go, yeah, I really would try to persuade against that. But if they're ready, like I do think there can be some healthy growth and learning that comes from dating. Like
Bro.
you have to learn by
Dude,
failure.
The sheer number of stories you hear, like horror stories of high school dating now, and I would not want people, my kids specifically, to
Yeah.
repeat that.
Yeah.
My worry is for them. But at the same time, here's the thing. I'll be honest, I'll open up a little bit. I didn't date until I was 18, okay? I didn't at least consider dating, I should say.
Real
And-
shocker there, folks. Real
And as
shocker.
soon as those guardrails came down, it was a complete mess. So I get into college and I'm
It
like,
was.
all right, my rule against dating is finally gone. I can get out there. And my gosh, I was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's
I'm
'cause
already an
I know.
overthinker. It was really bad. I was out there like trying to go after girls and pester
Yeah.
them constantly. I
Yeah.
didn't know how to talk to women. I was making friends with them and then hanging out with all of them and trying to date them in the friend groups.
Simultaneously.
It was really not good.
And my experience, I dated earlier. I dated in my end of sophomore, junior year of high school. I started dating, and I made some mistakes. But overall, I felt like it was a good experience, and I was very intentional about it and very concerned about boundaries and not breaking them and treating her well and seeing her as a daughter of God and like a sibling in Christ rather than as like, a body. I saw her as a soul,
That's beautiful.
which is so beautiful. And I feel like part of my story now is like I've not been a person who feels the need to be in a relationship 24/7. And arguably my co-chair here feels the need to be in a relationship 24/7. And I just think,
He's outing me
where
over
does
here.
that come from? Because I started dating earlier and I turned out better.
No, it's because I'm desperate. That's the difference. I
Yeah.
think this is what I've always said this. I think he's the cool one. I'm not, and I'm desperate because I think it's beautiful, and I love being in relationship to people.
Right.
And I think there's also a part of me. This is me being honest again. A part of me
So
that
beautiful.
I think is it's desperate for validation above all else. And there's a form of validation that you can only get in relationships. And this is the worry of high school dating. I think a lot of it is social validation.
Yeah.
A lot of it is you're a kid and you're like feeling all these hormonal impulses. You're like, maybe I should go do this. I see this in the news and the media and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go out there and ruin your life.
How do they ruin their lives?
There are a lot of stories of people ruining their lives
like,
in high school dating.
If you do a good job with your kids and you train them in good values and to love the Lord as best as you can.
A lot of stories of people still having terrible outcomes for their kids.
Sure.
I think it's just, that's why it's helpful to have that categorical rule, but also I think you should still be considerate of your kids' kind of personality, the people that they meet. If they meet a really quality girl and you've got a really quality son, you've got a really quality daughter with a really quality girl, with a really quality son, so be it. Like maybe you can change the rules a little bit for them, but that's only it's highly contextual then.
It is very contextual, and that's why I don't love hard rules for everyone. Like, if my son is mature-ish for a high schooler, if he's the basketball star and there's a really cute cheerleader, I'm all for it.
So let me sum up our views then. I think my typical approach is just more constrained. I would encourage hesitation. I would encourage self-control. I would encourage waiting until college if possible. But if you meet somebody really spectacular in high school and you want to try it out and learn a little bit about dating, it would have to be chaperoned in some way. And you would take it a little bit slower, which I know is crazy to people.
I'd love to go on dates with my kids. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun for us. I don't know if it'd be fun for the kids. Would you want your mom or your dad on a date with you?
I think they'd want me on a date with them, maybe not you.
What?
Yeah.
You think I'd be that kind of
so
parent?
fun.
I think I would be more fun on a date.
Really?
Totally.
Dude,
you know what I'd be
some
doing?
Great date ideas though.
I know. I'd be kind of chiming in occasionally, being like, "This is so fun, isn't it?"
Yeah, you'd be like, "Isn't love beautiful? Isn't love just beautiful?"
Wait, let me get a photo. Let me get a photo of this.
Right.
You guys I promise you're gonna want these later.
I would never do that.
I think it's so incredible. And here's the thing: we should just be a little more hesitant going into it. Should be a little more hesitant.
All things are
exercise
lawful,
yeah.
but not all things are helpful.
Probably.
So I guess when I apply it to my life, I forget the second half of that verse. But when I apply it to my kids, I'll apply that second half.
Okay, interesting.
Because I'm so consistent.
So yeah, that's a pretty rounded out discussion on that.
Yeah, for sure. And again, feel free to disagree with me, as I'm sure most of you will. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to be the voice of reason and the voice of freedom.
He's a voice of freedom for sure. I don't know about a voice of reason. My argument is for love, for romance, as understood in the Bible.
Whatever.
Something like that.
Song of Songs then, hey?
I don't know if I would. Actually, yes, I guess it is filtered through that.
It is.
It is filtered. I've always talked about this.
That's
But when it comes to Song of Songs and Song of Solomon, I would recommend that you read it on a honeymoon together. I've always talked about this. I think it'd be really awesome to have a Devo on a honeymoon where you read Song of Solomon together. I think it'd be awesome.
I love that, but for me, it's like one of those first or second date kind of devos. Like this is what we're striving for. This is beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Whip that out on a second date instead of those like 32 questions to fall in love. Just read the whole book together.
Yeah, I'm sure this would sell well with women.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is our take on dating and dating ages. And
I
a
don't
bunch
even
of other
remember
things.
the question. At
I
this
don't
point.
remember either. We're gonna have to cut several things that we've just said and include different things.
That's the beauty.
It's gonna be crazy.
That's
The beauty of this is you get us unfiltered and also a little filtered.
A little filtered. So you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean it's been a great episode in one way or another. Please,
My hands are totally
submit
wrinkly and lovely.
Submit feedback to us. Remember, approach the bench with two H's
H's
at gmail.com or submit a voice memo through the link in our bio.
Let's go get a pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, you're paying.
He's buying. Thanks, everyone.
God bless. See you guys.